Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into a challenge that, let's be honest, touches virtually every single one of us at some point in our lives. That frustrating, heavy feeling of having absolutely no motivation.
Yeah, that feeling.
Whether you're facing down monumental life goals, maybe a creative project, or even just the daily mountain of laundry, that internal wall can feel utterly insurmountable, like a giant, unmoving block stubbornly planted right in your path.
Right.
It can leave you feeling stuck, stagnant, and sometimes a little bewildered as to how to even take the first step.
Indeed. It's a sentiment we've all encountered, I think. A lack of motivation, as we'll unpack today, isn't simply a matter of weak willpower or, some kind of personal failing.
That's a relief to hear, actually.
Well, yeah, instead it's a profoundly complex interplay of your mind's internal narratives, your body's physical state, and the external circumstances you find yourself in. It's often the cumulative effect of various factors, some strikingly obvious and others surprisingly subtle. Our deep dive today is all about peeling back those layers, understanding its roots, and then crucially, developing effective practical strategies can fundamentally transform how we approach our goals, shifting us from feeling helplessly stuck to actively and intentionally moving forward.
And that's exactly our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack a truly insightful article titled What to Do When You Have No Motivation, written by Amy Morin, LCSW, and thoroughly reviewed by David Sussman, PhD. This article isn't just a list, it's packed with concrete, actionable strategies and also delves deeply into the underlying causes of this universal struggle, giving us a really comprehensive, kind of 360-degree view.
Yeah, it covers a lot of ground.
Our goal for you today, as we navigate this material, is to extract those crucial aha nuggets of wisdom. We want to help you not just understand why you might be feeling stuck, but perhaps even more importantly, how to gently, strategically, and effectively nudge yourself forward. We're going to explore powerful behavioral experiments and subtle but profound shifts in mindset that can truly reignite your drive and help you break free.
Precisely. And we'll approach this topic not from a place of judgment or shaming, because that's not helpful, but from one of curiosity and empowerment.
Absolutely.
Think of a lack of motivation not as a character flaw, but as a solvable puzzle. The article itself encourages us to view these techniques as behavioral experiments, suggesting that what works for one person or in one situation might not be the universal answer.
I like that framing experiments takes the pressure off.
Exactly. This really frames our discussion today as an exploration, offering multiple pathways for you to experiment with and discover what truly resonates and yields results for your unique situation. This empowers you with tools and hopefully a deeper understanding of yourself.
All right, let's begin to unpack this with some immediately actionable steps the article generously offers. The very first one is something I found genuinely fascinating because on the surface, it almost sounds completely counterintuitive. Act as if you feel motivated. What's the core insight behind this, and how does it work?
That's a perfect place to start. The premise here is deeply rooted in established psychological principles, particularly the idea that changing your behavior can actually precede and directly influence your emotions, rather than the other way around.
Okay, so action first, feeling second.
Sort of, yeah. Our common assumption is often that we need to feel motivated first, and then we'll act. But this strategy radically flips that script. It proposes that if you deliberately behave as if you already possess that desired motivation, your internal state, your actual feelings and energy levels might just follow suit. It's a powerful feedback loop.
So it's almost like you're tricking your brain into feeling something it wasn't initially experiencing.
You could say that, yeah. A gentle nudge, perhaps.
The article gives such a vivid, relatable example of this. Instead of spending your entire day slumped on the couch in your pajamas, waiting for motivation to magically descend upon you like some divine inspiration.
Which rarely happens, let's be honest.
Right. You take the first smallest physical step, you get dressed, you put on your shoes, you get moving, even if it's just a brisk walk around the block or tidying one small corner of a room. The act of initiating that action itself, however minor it might seem, begins to send different signals to your brain, starting to increase your motivation and making it progressively easier to keep going. It truly creates a domino effect.
That's it.
So to you listening, take a moment to imagine, what would you genuinely be doing right now if you felt completely motivated? What would you be wearing? How would you be carrying yourself? What specific actions would you be taking?
Yeah, visualize it.
The core suggestion here is to simply do those things, to embody those actions, even if it feels a little forced or awkward at first, and then observe how your internal motivation levels shift.
What's truly fascinating about this strategy is how elegantly it leverages the profound mind-body connection, a concept that's incredibly well established in fields like neuroscience and psychology.
Right, it's not just pop psychology.
Not at all. Our physiological state, how we hold our bodies, our posture, our energy levels, sends constant, powerful signals to our brain, directly influencing our emotions, our thought patterns, and our cognitive processes. When we're slumped, immobile, and dressed for inaction, our body language inadvertently reinforces the idea of low energy and inertia. But by initiating even small, motivated behaviors like simply changing clothes, standing up straight, or walking with purpose, you immediately start to send different signals to your brain.
You're breaking the cycle.
You are actively disrupting and breaking that negative feedback loop where inaction perpetuates a lack of motivation. Your physiology and mental state begin to align in a far more positive, proactive direction. This raises a really important question for us to consider. How much of our perceived lack of motivation is actually a consequence of our inaction, rather than a prerequisite for action?
Wow.
It fundamentally challenges the very notion that motivation must come first. It suggests that often the doing generates the desire.
That's a profoundly powerful shift in perspective, isn't it? It means we have more agency than we often give ourselves credit for.
Absolutely.
And building on that idea of challenging our internal thoughts and self-talk, the next strategy the article introduces is to argue the opposite. This one is all about fighting back against that persistent inner voice of doubt and pessimism.
Indeed. When you find yourself struggling with a task or simply feeling unmotivated, you likely have a long, well-rehearsed list of reasons, a mental script, if you will, why you shouldn't take action.
Oh yeah, that script is very familiar.
Right. These are those automatic negative thoughts that pop up. It'll be too hard. I'll never get it done anyway. I'm just not capable of this, or what's the point? The article insightfully suggests that you consciously and deliberately argue against these pessimistic thoughts, almost as if you're a skilled lawyer, meticulously presenting a counter-argument to your own internal critic.
Like being your own defense attorney.
Exactly. You're not just dismissing them, you're actively engaging with it.
Exactly. It's about being your own advocate. So, for example, when you find yourself thinking you're going to fail at something, the strategy encourages you to actively list all the reasons why you might succeed, even if those reasons seem small or tentative at first.
Find the evidence.
If you believe you simply can't finish a particular job or project, intentionally recall all the evidence from your past that unequivocally shows you have completed similar tasks or even harder ones in the past.
That's key draw on past successes.
It's about pulling up your own personal history of resilience, capability, and past successes that your negativity bias might be conveniently ignoring. The immense benefit here is that it compels you to see both ends of the spectrum, reminding you that an overly pessimistic outcome is rarely, if ever, entirely accurate or the only possibility.
Right. Reality is usually somewhere in the middle.
There's almost always a chance things will work out better than your worst-case scenario predicts. And this balanced, evidence-based outlook can significantly fuel your motivation. It's about injecting nuance and realism into your self-talk, moving away from extremes.
If we connect this to the broader picture of psychological well-being, this is a powerful form of cognitive reframing, a fundamental technique employed in cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT.
Ah, okay, so it has clinical roots.
Very much so. Our brains, due to evolutionary wiring, often exhibit a negativity bias. We're primed to focus on potential threats, obstacles, and past failures. This was useful for survival, but less so for modern productivity.
Yeah, less saber-toothed tigers these days.
Exactly. By deliberately arguing the opposite, we're actively challenging those automatic, often distorted thought patterns and consciously creating new neural pathways that allow for different perspectives to emerge.
So you're literally rewiring your brain.
In a sense, yes. It's not about blind, Pollyannish optimism or simply ignoring reality. It's about injecting a healthy, evidence-based dose of reality and possibility into your internal dialogue. It encourages critical thinking about your own assumptions, questioning the very thoughts that keep you stuck.
Stuck in that debilitating loop you mentioned.
Precisely. A loop of inaction and self-doubt. It helps you cultivate an identity as an objective observer of your own thoughts, rather than a passive recipient swept away by every fleeting negative impression.
That's such a freeing concept, becoming an observer rather than a victim of your own thoughts. But here's where it gets really interesting and perhaps most counterintuitive for many people. Practice self-compassion.
This one's huge.
So many of us are conditioned to believe that being hard on ourselves, really cracking the whip, is the key to getting motivated. But the article suggests the exact opposite. It's asserting that harsh self-criticism, paradoxically, actually doesn't work effectively in the long run.
This is a truly crucial point, and as you said, it directly challenges a belief system many of us have internalized, or what our inner critic incessantly tells us.
That inner critic can be loud. Oh, absolutely. Yet, research consistently indicates that self-compassion is far more motivating, sustainable, and effective, especially when you're facing adversity, experiencing a setback, or simply struggling with motivation. It's about treating yourself with the same profound kindness, understanding, and patience you would unhesitatingly offer to a genuinely good friend who is facing the exact same struggles.
That's the key comparison, isn't it? Treating yourself like a friend.
It really is.
And the research findings on this are undeniably compelling. For instance, a 2011 University of California study found that self-compassion didn't just feel good, it demonstrably increased motivation to recover from failure.
Right, it wasn't about just giving up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Students who spoke kindly to themselves after failing a test actually spent more dedicated time studying for the next one. They also reported greater motivation to genuinely change their weaknesses. They weren't simply letting themselves off the hook or wallowing in self-pity.
No, they were learning and growing. They were actively creating an internal environment where learning, growth, and genuine improvement could authentically happen. It's about fostering resilience.
Exactly. And to build on that, a significant 2012 study published in Clinical Psychology Review synthesized extensive research demonstrating that self-compassion consistently decreases psychological distress, effectively reduces the symptoms of anxiety and depression, and vitally mitigates the harmful, debilitating effects of stress.
Wow. So it has broad mental health benefits.
Huge benefits. Think about that.
Yeah.
All of these are major factors that can profoundly erode and impact your motivation. When you are constantly operating in a state of chronic distress or harsh self-criticism, a tremendous amount of your mental and emotional energy is diverted and consumed, tied up in negative rumination and unproductive self-blame.
Just spinning your wheels.
Pretty much. Self-compassion, on the other hand, liberates that precious energy, allowing it to be channeled towards constructive action and problem solving.
So the practical application here is truly profound. Instead of falling into that familiar trap of beating yourself up or engaging in a debilitating cycle of blame and shame, you consciously cultivate and create a kinder, more supportive inner dialogue. And this isn't about repeating exaggeratedly positive, unrealistic affirmations like, I'm the best person in the world, because those often feel inauthentic and can actually backfire, creating more internal resistance.
Right, they can feel hollow.
Instead, healthy self-compassion strikes a delicate balance between genuine self-acceptance and a clear desire for self-improvement. You acknowledge your flaws, your mistakes, and your failures with honesty, but crucially, you don't indulge in a self-defeating pity party.
It's not about making excuses.
No, you speak to yourself precisely like a trusted, wise friend. You might pause and ask yourself, what exactly would I say to a friend who is experiencing this exact problem right now? And then you apply that same empathetic, constructive coaching to yourself in a helpful, encouraging, and actionable manner.
It's about being your own best coach.
And most steadfast ally, not your harshest, most unforgiving critic.
This truly raises an important question about the fundamental effectiveness of different motivational styles that we've been culturally conditioned to accept. Many of us, myself included, grew up believing in a tough love approach for ourselves.
A boot camp mentality.
Exactly. That we needed to be hard, even punitive, to perform at our best and stay on track. But the overwhelming body of evidence strongly suggests that kindness, acceptance, and understanding are far more conducive to sustainable change, genuine resilience, and authentic growth.
That's a big shift.
It is. Self-compassion allows for vulnerability, for acknowledging pain, and for truly learning from mistakes, rather than shutting down, becoming defensive, or simply giving up entirely in the face of perceived failure. It deliberately creates a safer, more nurturing internal environment for growth to flourish.
A safe space inside your own head.
You got it. In this space, you're not constantly paralyzed by the fear of making a mistake, which paradoxically makes you far more willing to take calculated risks, to try new approaches, and to persist even when the going gets tough.
That's a huge mindset shift for so many people. And once you've embraced that kinder approach, the next hurdle is often just getting started, which brings us perfectly to an incredibly practical strategy: the 10-minute rule.
Ah, yes, the 10-minute rule. So simple, so effective.
This one feels so immediately actionable.
It absolutely is, and it's deceptively powerful in its simplicity. When you're facing a task you dread, whether it's a huge, intimidating project or something utterly mundane like cleaning out a closet, that sense of dread itself becomes a colossal barrier, inevitably leading to a complete lack of motivation.
The dread is often worse than the task itself.
Often, yes. The 10-minute rule is brilliant because it ingeniously helps to reduce that dread by giving you explicit, pre-approved permission to quit after just 10 minutes. The primary goal is simply to initiate the activity, not to complete it.
Right. It's like a mental loophole for procrastination. The mechanism is straightforward, but profoundly effective. You make a firm commitment to just 10 minutes of dedicated effort.
Just 10 minutes. Anyone can do 10 minutes, right?
Pretty much. Once you hit that 10-minute mark, you then pause, step back, and honestly ask yourself, do I genuinely want to keep going right now, or do I want to stop?
Check in with yourself.
And what the article points out, which many people find surprisingly true, is that you'll very often discover you've accumulated enough momentum, or the task wasn't as bad as you imagined, that you do have enough motivation to continue.
The inertia is broken.
Whether it's that dreaded boring report, finally getting yourself off the couch for a workout, or tackling a seemingly insurmountable to-do list, commit to just 10 minutes. Getting started is usually the single biggest hurdle. Once you gain even a tiny bit of momentum, that energy often builds on itself, creating a powerful forward thrust.
Exactly. The biggest enemy, inertia, is overcome. What's truly fascinating here is its elegant application of principles from behavioral economics, specifically the concept of reducing activation energy.
Activation energy, like in chemistry.
Kind of. Think of activation energy as the initial mental friction or perceived effort required to begin a task. This perceived effort is often disproportionately high compared to the actual effort of doing the task itself.
Okay.
Our brains anticipate the struggle, the boredom, or the discomfort, and that anticipation alone can be enough to deter us entirely. By setting such an incredibly low bar, just 10 minutes, you dramatically bypass that initial mental resistance.
You trick your brain a little bit again.
You cleverly trick your brain into thinking the task isn't that big of a deal, making it easier to simply show up. And often, once you are actively engaged, you discover that the task isn't nearly as bad as you'd imagined, or that you do possess the inherent strength and capacity to tolerate it better than you'd envisioned. It's a beautifully simple, almost sneaky way to overcome procrastination by radically lowering the barrier to entry and proving to yourself that the monster isn't so scary once you face it.
That's genius, really, because it's about making the starting line feel less intimidating. But sometimes the best way to get motivated isn't about pushing harder or even tripping your brain, but about a complete change of scenery and environment.
Ah, yes. The environment matters.
The article wisely suggests go for a walk in nature. And honestly, I can personally attest to this one. It's often transformative for me.
It absolutely is. The core idea is incredibly straightforward. Fresh air, a complete change of scenery, and simple physical exercise are profoundly powerful, yet often overlooked motivators.
We forget the simple things sometimes.
We do. And walking in nature specifically offers unique and profound benefits that extend far beyond just the physical activity itself, impacting your cognitive and emotional state.
And the research really backs this up convincingly. A 2013 study published in the prestigious British Journal of Sports Medicine found that walking as little as half a mile through a park significantly reduces brain fatigue.
Brain fatigue, that's specific, not just tiredness.
Right. Think about that for a moment. It's not just about physical tiredness, but a deep sense of mental exhaustion. Being immersed in nature offers a uniquely calming, restorative, and rejuvenating effect on the brain, helping you return to a task feeling more motivated, more focused, and mentally refreshed. The article specifically highlights the distinct benefit of walking in a park or a botanical garden over, say, a busy, chaotic urban street, underscoring that the type of environment you choose truly matters for its restorative impact.
If we connect this to the broader scientific understanding, it eloquently speaks to the restorative power of natural environments, a concept extensively researched and sometimes referred to as attention restoration theory.
Attention restoration, tell me more.
Well, in our modern urban settings, our brains are in a state of constant directed attention. We're bombarded with stimuli traffic, advertisements, crowds, incessant noise, notifications, which leads to what's known as directed attention fatigue.
I think I have that permanently.
You're probably not alone. This is the specific kind of mental exhaustion that arises from continuously forcing your attention onto specific tasks and relentlessly filtering out distractions. Nature, by contrast, allows for involuntary, effortless attention.
Effortless attention. How does that work?
You can simply be in nature. Your gaze can wander, your mind can gently drift, and your brain doesn't have to work as hard to process stimuli. This allows your cognitive resources to effectively recharge and replenish.
Okay. So it's like giving your brain a break from constant effort.
Exactly. It powerfully highlights how absolutely vital environmental factors are to our mental state, our baseline energy levels, and ultimately our capacity for sustained productivity and motivation. It's not merely a luxury to be indulged in. It's a fundamental biological need for optimal human functioning and mental resilience.
That's a beautiful way to put it. That nature is a biological need for our brains. Now, let's move to a really fun one, and truly effective in a different way. Pair a dreaded task with something you enjoy.
The pairing strategy. This one's clever.
This strategy cleverly taps into the well-known fact that our emotions heavily, profoundly influence our motivation levels.
Precisely. It's a common experience.
Yeah.
If you're feeling sad, bored, lonely, or anxious, your intrinsic desire to tackle challenges or mundane tasks absolutely plummets.
Yeah, motivation goes out the window.
This strategy offers a simple yet incredibly effective way to actively boost your mood and your willingness to engage by deliberately adding something inherently enjoyable to a task you genuinely don't want to do, thereby changing your emotional association with it.
It's all about creating a positive, almost Pavlovian association, isn't it?
Basically, yes. Associative learning.
The article provides several excellent illustrative examples that resonate immediately. You could listen to your favorite upbeat music or an engrossing podcast while you're out for a run, making the physical exertion more enjoyable.
Distraction and enjoyment combined.
Or, instead of silently enduring cleaning the house, you could make that phone call to a friend you've been meaning to connect with while you tidy up.
Multitasking for the win.
Imagine lighting a beautiful, calming, scented candle while you're working on a less than thrilling spreadsheet, or perhaps even turning on your absolute favorite comfort show while you're folding what feels like an endless pile of laundry.
Right, making the mundane more bearable.
The core idea is to intentionally make the experience of doing the dreaded task less awful, maybe even genuinely pleasant, by strategically infusing it with something you deeply like or look forward to.
What's truly fascinating here is its direct application of the psychological principle of associative learning, often called classical conditioning. By consistently pairing a less desirable activity with something inherently pleasurable, you begin to gradually build a positive association between the two.
So eventually, cleaning might not feel so bad.
Well, maybe not good, but less bad, certainly. Over time, that dreaded task might even become significantly less aversive, or you might even find yourself looking forward to it because of the enjoyable activity it's coupled with.
Okay, I see.
It's a smart, almost subtle way to deliberately manipulate your own emotional response and make tasks far more palatable, thereby significantly increasing the likelihood of engagement and completion. However, the article wisely includes a very important caveat that cannot be overlooked.
There's always a catch.
Well, a consideration.
Yeah.
You must ensure the fun doesn't inadvertently impair your performance on the task itself.
Right.
For example, watching an action-packed TV show while trying to write a complex research paper might distract you and slow you down rather than helping you focus. The pairing needs to be complementary, enhancing the experience without compromising the quality or efficiency of the work.
That's such an important distinction. Complementary, not counterproductive. And speaking of things that can kill motivation, one of the biggest culprits is feeling completely overwhelmed, often by the sheer volume of things we think we need to do.
Oh, the overwhelm. Yes.
Which brings us to manage your to-do list. This is a daily struggle for so many of us.
Absolutely. An overwhelming, never-ending to-do list can create a profound sense of hopelessness before you even begin, effectively paralyzing you and preventing any attempt at action.
That feeling of, where do I even start?
Exactly. A crucial insight the article provides here is that most people also consistently and significantly underestimate how long tasks will actually take. This cognitive bias then leads to pervasive feelings of laziness or inefficiency when tasks aren't completed on time.
Which makes you feel even less motivated.
Precisely. Which in turn furthers apps motivation, creating a vicious, self-defeating cycle. It's a double whammy,
Yeah.
too much to do, and a skewed perception of how long it takes.
It truly becomes a negative feedback loop, doesn't it? So the strategies the article suggests are incredibly practical and focus on gaining control. It advises critically evaluating your list.
Taking a hard look at it.
Ask yourself, is it truly too long for one day or even 1 week? If so, get ruthless and identify non-essential tasks that can be eliminated entirely or moved to a different day or even month.
What a clutter.
Can certain tasks be delegated or rescheduled? Prioritize the most important high-impact items and strategically move them to the very top of your list.
Focus on what really matters.
The benefit here is clear and immediate. Even a slight change in how you structure your list or how you mentally view it can make those tasks seem far more manageable, which in turn significantly boosts your motivation to actually get to work. It's about simplifying, decluttering, and creating a clear, achievable path forward.
This raises an important question about realistic goal setting and managing expectations, a common pitfall. The planning fallacy is a widely documented cognitive bias, where we systematically tend to underestimate the time, costs, and resources needed to complete future tasks.
Even when we know better from past experience.
Exactly. Even when we have ample past experience that should suggest otherwise. We're wired to be optimistically bad at predicting our own efficiency.
The planning fallacy. Good to know there's a name for it.
Acknowledging this inherent bias and then proactively simplifying your workload can be incredibly effective in preventing burnout and maintaining a vital sense of efficacy. It's about strategic retreat, clearing the deck, saying no to non-essentials to enable true, sustainable forward progress on what genuinely matters.
Strategic retreat. I like that.
It's recognizing that less, paradoxically, can sometimes be significantly more when it comes to getting things done effectively and maintaining your drive.
That's a powerful point, that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is less. And often, a profound lack of motivation isn't a symptom of laziness at all, but rather a clear sign of deep depletion, pure and simple.
Burnout is real.
This leads us perfectly into the next strategy. Practice self-care. It seems so obvious, almost too simple, yet it's often the very first thing we sacrifice or cut when we feel under pressure or overwhelmed.
It truly is foundational, and you've hit on why it's so often overlooked despite its obvious importance. The core idea is simple, yet profoundly impactful. You will inherently struggle with consistent motivation if you are not adequately, consistently caring for yourself on multiple levels.
Right, the basics.
Chronic sleep deprivation, a consistently poor diet, dehydration, and a pervasive lack of genuine leisure time are all major culprits that systematically drain your essential energy reserves and make even the simplest, most routine tasks feel like insurmountable mountains.
It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty tank.
Exactly that analogy.
The article goes into detail outlining the essential components of a robust, healthy self-care plan, which I think is incredibly helpful because self-care can sometimes feel vague.
Yeah, it's more than just bubble baths.
Right. It emphasizes getting regular exercise, ensuring you get plenty of restorative sleep, staying adequately hydrated by drinking enough water, and consuming a healthy, balanced diet.
The physical foundations.
Beyond the physical, it profoundly stresses making dedicated time for genuine leisure and fun, actively utilizing healthy coping skills to effectively deal with stress rather than letting it fester.
That's crucial healthy coping, not just avoidance.
And actively avoiding unhealthy, counterproductive habits like binge eating or excessive alcohol consumption as a means of escape. It truly advocates for a holistic approach to recharging your internal batteries and maintaining your core vitality.
If we connect this to the broader picture of human performance and well-being, it's about understanding motivation, not as a singular, isolated mental attribute, but as a holistic state, intrinsically and inextricably linked to our overall physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
It's all connected.
Completely. Our baseline physical health, our mental clarity, and our emotional regulation are all foundational pillars supporting our energy levels, our cognitive function, and our inherent capacity for sustained effort and resilience. Ignoring these basic human needs, these fundamental biological and psychological requirements, creates a profound deficit that no amount of sheer willpower or mental toughness can sustainably overcome.
So willpower isn't enough if you're running on empty.
Not in the long run, no. It's not a luxury to be indulged in only when all your tasks are completed. It is, quite literally, a non-negotiable requirement for sustained productivity, long-term resilience, and critically consistent motivation. It's about building a robust, well-maintained operating system for your entire life, ensuring you have the energy and mental space to truly thrive.
That analogy of a robust operating system is so apt. And finally, let's talk about the payoff, because everyone loves a payoff. This brings us to reward yourself for working.
Positive reinforcement. Classic, but effective.
This strategy wisely harnesses the undeniable power of positive reinforcement.
Exactly. The core idea here is creating a small, tangible, and often immediate reward for your hard work, or for completing a specific increment of a task. This can be incredibly effective in helping you stay motivated to reach your goals by giving you something positive to anticipate and actively work towards.
Something to look forward to.
Beyond just the inherent completion of the task itself, it provides an immediate burst of satisfaction.
The article offers some truly excellent illustrative examples that make this concrete. If you're tackling a long, daunting paper for a class, you might break it down into manageable chunks. Write 500 words, then take a dedicated 10-minute break as your reward step away, stretch, clear your head.
Smart chunking.
Or perhaps enjoy one small piece of chocolate after 30 minutes of intensely focused work.
The little treat.
You could commit to writing just one page a day and then powerfully remind yourself that once that single page is done, you'll have uninterrupted free time to indulge in whatever you genuinely want.
Linking effort to desired freedom.
For smaller, more tedious tasks, you might work diligently for 20 minutes, then allow yourself 5 minutes to quickly check social media or respond to personal messages.
Built-in breaks.
And for a major milestone, like finally completing that challenging paper, the bigger reward could be allowing yourself to go out with friends, guilt-free, to celebrate.
Marking the accomplishment.
The article also wisely suggests experimenting with this. Are you more motivated by smaller, more frequent rewards, or a bigger, more substantial reward for a complete job? It's about figuring out what truly resonates with your own personal reward system and internal motivators.
What's truly fascinating here is the nuanced understanding of reinforcement at play. It's not just about thoughtlessly applying external rewards, but about doing so strategically so they don't inadvertently undermine intrinsic motivation.
Right. The joy of the task itself.
Exactly. The inherent enjoyment or satisfaction derived from the activity itself. The crucial point, as the article emphasizes, is that your rewards absolutely should not sabotage your efforts or long-term goals.
Okay, that's key.
For example, consistently rewarding your intense hard work at the gym with a large sugary treat or unhealthy food might be counterproductive to your fitness goals in the long run.
Yeah, that defeats the purpose.
Such counterproductive habits will ultimately decrease your long-term motivation because they create conflicting signals and undermine the very progress you're striving to achieve. This raises an important question. How can we use these external rewards effectively to build initial habit and momentum without creating a dependency?
So you don't only do it for the reward.
Right. Especially by ensuring the reward complements and powerfully reinforces the positive behavior without eroding its inherent value or negating its ultimate benefits. It's about building a bridge from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation.
That's a brilliant distinction, linking the reward back to the long-term goal. Now, while these 9 strategies we've discussed are incredibly helpful and powerful for everyday slumps and common motivation challenges, the article makes a crucial point about knowing when it's time to elevate your approach and seek professional help.
Yes, this is absolutely vital.
So what does this all mean for someone whose motivation issues feel more profound, more persistent, or even debilitating?
This is a vital distinction, and one that requires self-awareness. The article highlights a key, actionable indicator. If your motivation remains consistently low for an extended period, specifically 2 or more weeks, or if it begins to significantly impair your daily functioning across various areas of your life.
2 weeks is a good benchmark.
Yes, or if it's really getting in the way, then it's a strong and clear signal that it's time to seek professional help. This isn't just about feeling a bit tired or uninspired from time to time. It's about a pervasive, persistent, and debilitating state that's impacting your quality of life.
And the examples of impact on daily functioning truly drive that home. We're talking about situations where you're consistently not able to go to work, or your performance at work is suffering noticeably and impacting your career.
Real-world consequences.
Perhaps you find yourself unable to even get motivated to leave the house for basic essential errands, isolating yourself. These are concrete signs that something more serious may be at play beyond a typical temporary slump.
Definitely red flags.
The very first practical step the article suggests is to schedule an appointment with your primary care physician.
Rule out the physical first.
Exactly. They can conduct a thorough examination and rule out any underlying physical health conditions like thyroid issues, vitamin deficiencies, or chronic fatigue syndromes that might be silently affecting your energy levels, mood, and overall drive, because many physical ailments can manifest initially as a profound lack of motivation.
Precisely. Once any potential physical causes are thoroughly ruled out, your doctor may then refer you to a mental health professional. That could be a therapist, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist.
Okay, the next step.
Their specialized role is to conduct a comprehensive assessment to determine if the sustained lack of motivation is linked to an underlying mental illness, such as clinical depression, generalized anxiety disorder, or other conditions that profoundly impact energy, focus, and drive.
Getting to the root cause.
If a mental health condition is identified, the article notes that effective treatment may include evidence-based therapy, appropriate medication, or, very often, a carefully considered combination of both, tailored to your specific needs.
Treatment options exist.
Absolutely. It also highlights the growing accessibility of online therapy programs as a convenient and private option for many individuals today, broadening the pathways to support available. This discussion really raises an important question about destigmatizing, seeking support for mental well-being.
So important.
A sustained, debilitating lack of motivation is not a character flaw, it's not a sign of weakness, and it's certainly not something to be ashamed of. It can be a significant and treatable symptom of underlying medical or psychological conditions that genuinely require professional attention, just like any other health issue.
Like treating high blood pressure or diabetes.
Exactly the same principle. Recognizing this crucial distinction is vital for accurate diagnosis and effective intervention, empowering you to address the true root cause rather than just endlessly battling the symptom or blaming yourself.
That's such an incredibly important message, normalizing the need for professional support. Now, we've spent a good amount of time on the how, those actionable strategies, but the article also takes a valuable deep dive into the why behind a lack of motivation.
Understanding the roots.
It makes a really insightful point. Sometimes that general feeling of having no motivation is the problem itself, a temporary state. But other times, it's merely the symptom of a bigger, deeper problem lurking beneath the surface, waiting to be identified.
This distinction between the problem and the symptom is absolutely crucial for truly effective intervention and sustained change. Think of it this way. If you're a perfectionist, for example,
Uh-oh, hitting close to home for some.
maybe,
Yeah.
your lack of motivation might stem less from a desire to avoid the task itself and more from a deep-seated, paralyzing fear of not completing that task flawlessly.
The fear of failure or not being perfect.
Exactly. Until that underlying need for perfection and the intense anxiety surrounding it is genuinely addressed, your motivation isn't likely to sustainably increase because the core, hidden obstacle remains firmly in place.
So you're treating the symptom, not the cause.
Potentially, yes. Conversely, a temporary lack of motivation can indeed cause procrastination, which then, as you mentioned, creates a powerful negative feedback loop of even less motivation as guilt, missed deadlines, and mounting pressure pile up. So it's vital to take a moment to pause, reflect, and carefully consider the underlying reasons before simply trying to force yourself to push through.
That makes perfect sense. So let's quickly walk through some of those common reasons for a lack of motivation that the article highlights, because these really resonate with what many people experience in their daily lives. One of the big ones, which I think we can all relate to, is avoidance of discomfort.
Ah, yes, the comfort zone trap.
This means instinctively sidestepping uncomfortable feelings, like sheer boredom from a mundane, repetitive task. Think endless data entry or filing, or the intense frustration that comes from tackling a tough, challenging problem where the solution isn't immediately obvious.
It feels easier to just not.
It's simply easier to do nothing or find distractions than to sit with that immediate discomfort.
Another incredibly significant cause highlighted is self-doubt. When you genuinely believe deep down that you simply can't do something, perhaps because you failed before or because the task seems too big.
That feeling of, I'm not capable.
Right. or that you can't tolerate the inherent distress, challenge, or negative emotions associated with a certain task, such as giving a public presentation or diving into a complex financial report, you will inevitably struggle immensely to even get started.
It stops you before you start.
That internal conviction of inadequacy becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, subtly but powerfully undermining any potential for action before you even begin. Your belief becomes your barrier.
And a very common one, perhaps increasingly so in our perpetually busy modern lives, is simply being overextended.
Spreading ourselves too thin.
When your life is overloaded, when you have far too many commitments, too many responsibilities, too many things pulling at your finite attention and energy, that feeling of being completely overwhelmed can drain your motivation entirely.
It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it.
Exactly. You just feel depleted and you often just shut down, paralyzed by the sheer volume.
Then there's the subtle but powerful issue of a lack of genuine commitment to a goal. If you agree to a task, a project, or even a personal resolution, simply out of obligation.
Saying yes when you meant no.
Perhaps you felt pressured by a colleague, or set a New Year's resolution due to peer pressure, or simply said yes when you truly wanted to say no. Your heart truly isn't in it. When your internal values, desires, and genuine intrinsic drive aren't authentically aligned with the goal, taking action becomes incredibly difficult because there's no inherent drive or genuine desire behind it. You're trying to force something that doesn't genuinely resonate with who you are or what you truly want, leading to a constant battle.
And as we touched on earlier when discussing professional help, mental health issues are a profoundly significant underlying cause of a sustained lack of motivation.
This is a really important one to reiterate.
A persistent, debilitating lack of motivation is a very common symptom of clinical depression and can also be linked to other mental illnesses like generalized anxiety disorder or even conditions like ADHD. It's a key, often read indicator that something deeper may be going on inside, something that willpower alone cannot overcome, and something that genuinely warrants professional evaluation and support.
What's truly fascinating here is the intricate interconnectedness of these causes. They rarely operate in complete isolation, but instead often create a complex, reinforcing web that traps individuals in inaction.
Like a tangled knot.
Exactly. For instance, being overextended might lead to feelings of self-doubt about your capacity to manage everything, which then feeds into an avoidance of discomfort from overwhelming tasks. It powerfully underscores the profound importance of genuine introspection.
Taking that time to look inward.
Yes, the act of carefully considering the underlying thoughts, feelings, and circumstances that are truly affecting your drive, rather than just blaming yourself for a perceived lack of. This perspective encourages critical thinking about self-diagnosis and highlights the holistic, interconnected nature of our internal states.
All linked.
It also emphasizes that addressing even one of these core causes, like strategically reducing your commitments if you're chronically overextended, might create a positive ripple effect, cascading into improvements in other areas like reduced self-doubt or overcoming procrastination.
That's a crucial takeaway. It's often not one thing but a whole web, and unraveling one thread can help with others. The article also briefly touches on other potential causes, like the fear of what other people think or a pervasive desire to please everyone around you,
People-pleasing can be exhausting.
which can similarly sap your personal drive. It truly emphasizes the importance of carefully considering these underlying thoughts and feelings because, as we've seen, until you understand the deeper why, the how can feel like a superficial, temporary fix rather than a lasting solution.
Getting to the root is key for sustainable change.
So, what does all of this mean for you, our listener? This deep dive has shown us unequivocally that everyone at some point struggles with motivation issues. It's a fundamental, unavoidable part of the universal human experience, a common challenge we all face.
Not alone in this.
But here's the empowering part. The way you choose to respond to that lack of motivation, the strategies you consciously decide to employ, and the understanding you bring to your own unique internal landscape, that is what truly profoundly matters.
It's about your response.
This deep dive reveals that motivation isn't a fixed, static switch that you either possess or you don't. It's a dynamic, fluid state, profoundly responsive and influenced by our deliberate actions, our surrounding environment, our internal self-talk, and our overall well-being.
Precisely. The core message that emerges from this deep dive is one of profound self-compassion, courageous experimentation, and proactive self-care.
The big three.
Be unfailingly kind to yourself. Bravely experiment with the various strategies we've discussed today. Try the 10-minute rule for that dreaded task. Deliberately argue the opposite of your negative thoughts or take that restorative walk in nature.
Be your own scientist.
And crucially, never ever hesitate to ask for professional help if your struggles persist, deepen, or begin to significantly impact your daily life. Your well-being is not just important, it is paramount.
Absolutely paramount. A truly powerful thought to mull over emerges from all this, doesn't it? If motivation is so responsive to our behaviors and internal narratives, what does that suggest about the traditional, almost rigid concept of willpower as a finite resource that we just run out of?
Hmm, that's a great question. It challenges that old idea.
Could understanding these mechanisms fundamentally change how you view your own intrinsic capacity for growth and change, moving you from passively waiting for motivation to strike to actively, compassionately, and strategically engaging with your goals and your own inner world?
It's an invitation, really. It challenges us to reconsider willpower, not as a mystical, limited reserve, but perhaps as a cultivated skill, deeply integrated with our self-awareness and our deliberate actions.
Willpower is a skill, not just a tank of gas.
Exactly. If we can actively influence our motivation through these strategies, then the power truly lies within our hands, within our choices, not in some external force or a fixed personality trait. This reframes failure not as a lack of willpower, but as an opportunity to adjust our strategies, practice self-compassion, and deepen our understanding of what truly drives us.
A deeply empowering perspective for anyone feeling stuck. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into understanding and reigniting your motivation.
A pleasure, as always.
We hope these insights serve you well on your journey to becoming even more well-informed, more resilient, and truly empowered to create the life you desire. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep building that momentum.